Simple interest. So within all simple interest calculations and problems that you do, I want to talk about just one item in this video, and that is time. And in particular, within our formula of simple interest, so if you have this simple interest formula or any other, maybe for future value or for present value, then t that you have here is always given on an annual basis. So it has to be per year. And oftentimes you will find per annum, okay, within the question. So they will give you something like this when they provide you the interest R. So our goal is to be able to take any time, and it doesn't have to be in years, and to convert it back into years so that we can use, okay, this formula and substitute for t. So that's what I will talk about in this video, or at least one of the things. And now, because time t runs into some problems with respect to having leap years, I will mention that and tell you how you can spot a leap year, meaning that when does a year have one more day? And that will lead into this concept of being able to count days, because if you are provided two different dates and you want to find the number of days in between so that you can find your t in years, then you have to know how to do that. And in this video, I will show you how to do that. And there's also going to be a little video that I will do, okay, and show you how to do it on a business calculator, okay, and that will be posted as well. And you're going to be able to find it under the playlist, okay, for simple interest under my site, the YouTube channel. All right, so if we need time to be on an annual basis, so per year, we need to understand all the various different things that can happen to your time and how you can be asked about it. So this is what I mean. When you're working with questions, and I'm going to go kind of through all the different variations, what you might run into. So we have, okay, the following items that you should be familiar with in time. Okay, you should understand what semi-annually means. So semi-annually means it is twice per year. Semi-annually, okay, so one term for semi-annually is basically 6 months. That's what you have there. Now, the next one, okay, you should understand is quarterly. Okay, now quarterly means per quarter, and a quarter is 3 months. So there are 4 quarters in a year. So the next one that you should understand, okay, is monthly. Now, monthly, so if someone gives you the number of months, so obviously there are 12 months in a year. Okay, after monthly is semi-monthly. So what does semi-monthly mean? Well, semi-monthly, just like semi-annually, so semi-annually was basically twice per year, while semi-monthly means twice per month. Okay, so this means twice per month. So 2 times per month. And that's going to be useful for us to know, because then we will know if someone gives us semi-monthly terms, how we can convert it back into years. Now, after semi-monthly, and this is something that people confuse with, is bi-weekly. So bi-weekly is every other week. So every other week. These two are not the same, so please don't confuse them. Semi-monthly, okay, is 2 times per month, and bi-weekly means every other week. So every 2 weeks, okay, which is not the same. So it is true, most of the months in a year will have only 2 terms if you're going by bi-weekly, but some of them, okay, will not. Okay, so there will be a distinction, and I will show you how to convert that back into years. So now from bi-weekly, okay, comes in weekly. So what does weekly mean? Well, weekly means obviously every single week. Now, next one after weekly, okay, the most common one is on a daily basis. Okay, so daily, okay, obviously means once per day. Now, if we take all of these, okay, so from semi-annually all the way down to daily, so these ones are kind of the most common ones, how do we convert it back into years? Because remember, our ultimate goal here is to be able to find t, okay, in our simple interest, which has to be in years. So now that we have the distinction between semi-annually, quarterly, monthly, and so on, okay, so now what we will need is we would need to know is if someone gives us the number of terms in one of these, so for example, if they give us the number of weeks, if they give us the number of months, or if they give us the number of quarters and so on, how do we change it into years, right? Because we want our t to be in years. So it's actually not that bad, but you do have to commit to memory these particular items and kind of remember what you will have to divide by. So if someone provides you, okay, the number of semi-annual terms, you will have to divide that by 2 to get the number of years. And now, if you wanted to go in reverse, if you have the number of years, then you can multiply it by 2, okay, to get the number of semi-annual terms. Now, what about quarterly? Well, quarterly means it is 4 times per year. So if someone gives you the number of quarters, you will have to divide by 4 to get the number of years. And again, in reverse, if someone gives you the number of years and you need the number of quarters, then you will multiply by 4. Now, the number of months is something that is a little bit easier because people will remember that we have 12 months in a year. So if you are given the number of months, you will have to divide by 12 to get your t in years. And now here is the distinction or the key distinction between semi-monthly and bi-weekly, which people confuse. So semi-monthly, because it is twice per month and we have 12 months, this means that if you wanted to get the number of years, you would have to divide by 24. But bi-weekly is every other week. And so here, okay, what I'm going to do is just skip over to weekly. Now, weekly, there are 52 weeks in a year. So we would divide by 52 to get that into number of years. And therefore, bi-weekly, because it is every other week, so if we take 52 and divide it by 2, that tells us that bi-weekly has 26 terms in a year. And notice now the difference between semi-monthly and bi-weekly. It's not big, but there is a difference, and you should be aware of that. Now, for daily, so this is another interesting one because there are typically 365 days in a year, but every so often we have a leap year. Now, in business terms for simple interest, we actually always assume, okay, that if we want to convert days back into years, we will divide by 365. So we don't worry about the leap year in terms of division. Okay, we always divide by 365. Now, this does not mean that you should ignore leap years because obviously it means that we have one extra day. And now let's take a look at some small little examples. Okay, how would we convert to t? So for instance, okay, if you have some examples here, okay, so for example, if someone provides you, okay, that there are in simple interest and you wanted to calculate the simple interest for, let's say, something that has been happening for 25 months, and now you know that your t has to be in years, well, then in order to find your t, you have to now take 25 months and divide it by 12. Why? Because we want to convert, so notice right here, division by 12, the t into years. So that would be your t. And now my suggestion always is just to keep this as a fraction and then let the calculator worry about the actual conversion instead of you trying to change this back into a decimal. So now this can happen for any of these. So for instance, if you had an interest, okay, and it was accumulating for 108 weeks, then what you would do is, in order to find t, you have to take 108 because it's weeks and divide it by 52 because there are 52 weeks in a year. So that was right there. So that's something you cannot forget. You always have to change it back into years. So no matter what, you have to change it so that t is in years. All right, so now next topic. So the next topic that we have that I want to discuss is this concept of a leap year. So leap years occur every 4 years. So they happen every 4 years. Every 4 years. And most people will know that. And sometimes if you forget, you get quickly reminded of this. So that's not a big deal, okay? It happens every 4 years. But how can you tell if a year is a leap year? Now, if you know the last time a leap year has occurred, so for example, if this current year, maybe let's say is 2020, and you know that this is a leap year, then you know that the next leap year will come in 2024 because it's every 4 years. And then it will come 2028 and so on. And of course, you can go in reverse. Okay, so the one before it came in 2016. But what if you're going across and you kind of forget which one was a leap year or not? So how can you tell? Well, how you can tell is you take the year and you ask yourself, is it divisible by 4? So meaning divisible by 4 means that it has no remainders, no decimal places remaining. So if I take 2020 and divide it by, okay, by 4, so we can do that, and divide it by 4, you notice that the answer is 505. Notice there's no decimal places. So this indeed is a leap year. But if you took, let's say, a different year, so let's say if we took 2022 and tried to divide by 4, because you wanted to check if this was a leap year or not, then you notice, uh-oh, I have a decimal place. So this is not fully divisible by 4 without a remainder. And that's what I mean. That's how you can check if a year is a leap year. Just divide it by 4. If it has no decimals, okay, then it is a leap year. If it has a decimal, okay, then it's not a leap year. Okay, so you can take that to pretty much anything. So let's say if we divided this year by 4, you notice there's a decimal. That was not a leap year. So now, these leap years, what's so interesting about them? Well, what's interesting about them is the fact that February, okay, has 29 days. If it's not a leap year, February always has 28 days. Now, this is important for us when we are dealing with counting the number of days in between dates. So if you're given the number of days, you can always find your t. So if someone told you, they came along, they said, okay, you have borrowed money for 529 days. And you can say, all right, so from that, I can find my t, which is 529. Now, it's always divided by 365, regardless if it was leap years or not. And now you have your t in years. And that just comes, so here, notice that daily, okay, we have to divide by 365 to get years. So that's great. But what if instead someone comes along and says, okay, but what if you have now two different dates? So let's imagine that you have, okay, let's say January, and it was 15th of 2020, and that's when you invested in maybe some particular investment at some interest rate, and it expired or matured on a different day, okay, and that particular day, let's say, was in a little bit over a year from now, and that would be, let's say, February the 1st of 2021. Now, when you have this, well, how the heck do you find t? Right? Do you just count arbitrarily? Like, what do you do? I mean, you can probably guess a little bit. Okay, there's basically two different ways. There's the easy way, which is you can use a business calculator to do this. And I will show an example of how to do that on a business calculator in a different video, which you can watch under the simple interest playlist. Or you're going to be stuck if you don't have a business calculator and you have to use, okay, one of these, which is basically just a little calendar that tells you the number of days in each month, okay, and you can calculate this through. So for this example, I will do this one, and I will also do, so there's some videos, okay, which show you how to find days in between two dates. So you can watch that if you like, okay, on the simple interest playlist. And here, what we have is, I want to explain this thing first, is you have January, February, March, April, and so on. And notice that January, so it has 31 days. And then in February, notice it goes from 31 and then it goes 32. Why? Because this table is showing you, okay, the date, okay, and what day in the year this is. So for example, if I wanted to find, so in this particular case, let's say uh, it was August the 5th. Okay, so I would go to August right here. Okay, and now the 5th, okay, so is right there. And then I can now go across. So this would be, okay, coming in, okay, and across that. And that is 217th day. But this table always assumes that you are not in a leap year. Notice it has 365 days. So that you can see right there. So 365. But we know that leap years have 366 days. And February, okay, has 29 days. So in leap years, what you have to do, okay, as someone who's using this table, is the following. If it is a leap year, then things change a little bit. Meaning you have 29 days right here, 29 in February. So that would become your 60th day. Okay, so 59 to 60. And this obviously changes anything starting in March. So in March, this is no longer your 60th day. This is your 61st day. So what you have to do is, as of March 1st for a leap year, so as of March 1st, you will have to add +1 to all the days that follow. So in a leap year, for instance, July okay, the 10th is not 191st day, it is 192nd day, and so on. But that's only for a leap year. And this is why you have to know if a year is a leap year so that you do not make this mistake. So I'm going to leave that little star 60 right there. And let's come back to this example and use this table to try to solve this. So we have January 15th, 2020. Now, January 15th, okay, what we have, so we have January 15th is right here. It is the 15th day. So 15th day, this is 2020. Okay, so that is that. And now, okay, notice what we have. It is 2020, okay, right here. So now 2020 is a leap year, because if we divide it by 4, so we did that actually. So it is a leap year. So this means that in 2020, we had a total of 366 days. That's what we had. Okay? And this was the 15th day in there. Now, for February 1st, 2021, well, if 2020 was a leap year, 2021 is not a leap year. So I can go to February 1st. So that is February 1st. That was the 32nd day. So this is the 32nd day in 2021. So with this information, how do I find the number of days in between these two dates? And the way that it works, okay, is the following. So you will take, so let me scroll down here. I'm going to draw a little chart for you. So you will take, okay, so you're starting in 2020. This is January the 15th. And you know that January 15th was the 15th day. Now, next, okay, here starts 2021. And you're supposed to go to February 1st in 2021. Now, that was the 32nd day. So in order to count, because what we need to know is we need to know how many days there are here in between, we have to do the following. In total, what you have is in 2020, you have 366 days. But you started on the 15th day. So these days do not count. The only days that will count are these ones right here, which means you can take in total 366 days minus the 15 days, okay? So starting from the beginning, and that will tell you how many days there are in 2020 that you should count. And 366 minus 15 is, okay, so that's 356, so 351. So there's 351 days in 2020. And now in 2021, so what we do is we take this right here. So we want to be able to add, so in 2021, okay, the 32 days, okay, that should count. So it's 32. And in total, so as we add them up, you have, so that's 3, 8, 3, and that tells you how many days there were in between those two dates. Okay, I do also video on this in terms of how to do that and using the actual chart, and you can watch it if you want to see that. All right, so this is it. Okay, so finding time t is important, and I hope that you found this video useful. Thank you for watching.